Hi guys, just thought I'd make a video and the lovely weather's out. I'll just show you now. It's amazing at the minute out here. It's cold, so like I'm wearing a hoodie, but yeah, it's just a nice autumn day, and I thought I'd come out and make a little video, just kind of talking about my day today. Um, so I was planning on making a video soon. Haven't made one now in 5 days, but Um, yeah, so obviously you've discussed heavy topics, but it's kind of like what does a day to day look like for me because it's been difficult the last few years, to be honest. Um, you know, I guess when you push yourself and you hold out, because that's a lot of times what you're doing when you're depressed is you're holding out for stuff. You know, you think, oh, if I can just get over this hurdle, then everything will be fine. And then it's not. If I just get over this, if I just keep going, eventually it gets easier. And like, I want to kind of give hope, but I also want to be honest. And a lot of times it's not. Like I've done a lot of things and kept going, and it's only burnt me out. Um, and like nowadays, I don't do an awful lot. Like I got back from a holiday there with my mates, like that we've been planning since we left school, and that's like 7 years later we got it done. But I kind of like ticked off my bucket list now, like it's all done, and then you're kind of left with an empty void of going, all right, I've done everything that I've set myself, because being diagnosed with autism and told that you're useless basically and you won't be able to do everything that other kids can do, you kind of, well, at least I did anyway. I kind of went, well, fuck you. I'm gonna try, want to achieve things that neurotypical people can. And like my goals might have seemed simple to somebody else, but for me they were a big deal. Like for instance, keep playing rugby. That was a good one. That was something. Stay involved with it and get really far in it. And I getting player of the year at the end of school was like a really big thing for me. Just going, I leave school now knowing I've done something and I've achieved something. And it was a huge deal for me at my graduation to kind of go, this is what I was. This is kind of an identity for me, because you need an identity, and it's something I struggle with a lot. There was one like as well, going my Debs, which I mentioned before, is like your prom, your end of year dance, dress up and look fancy. That was huge for me though. Having pictures of that going, I did normal things. You know what I mean? Going to Longitude Festival, something that I used to work in the summertime, and I'd come back from a long day's work because I didn't have many friends, I was a teenager, so I was kind of like, who would I go with? May as well work. Sorry, there's a few tractors going by. Um, See them turn the soil and everything. Weather is amazing today though. A little bit chilly, but not too bad. Um, but it just puts me in a better mood, so that I will say. After getting sidetracked, yeah, sorry. Setting yourself goals, like I didn't have many friends, so when I'd come back from work, because I thought, what else will I be doing with the summertime? So I learned myself some money, which I did through doing odd jobs here and there, and I was getting up early in the morning and then travelling out to work on my own, which was a big deal. And you get a sense of pride. But when you come back and you see people going to concerts and festivals, and you're just coming back on your own and doing things on your own, you kind of go, I should be doing that. And people say to you, oh, you're young, you should be enjoying life. And you go, yeah, you're right. But finding someone who would go with me, a lot of times you'd get people, and you probably get it yourselves, where it's just where you kind of go, let's do this, and people disregard your opinion. And I found that a lot, which really annoys me. It pisses me off. It's like, unless somebody else suggests it, then it's not going to happen. Like, I'll say, oh, let's go here, lads, and then they go, oh no, let's do this instead, and then it never happens. You know, it's like you suggest something and it's important, but if I suggest it, it just doesn't matter. You know, it's not important at all, and people disregard it, and then you can't get lads to meet up. And I'm going on, but I I stewarded for it. You know, like I did security. I wouldn't say security, like, you know, just basically making sure people didn't park in the wrong spot or acting out and then get a free ticket for it. And I always kind of was good like that. You know, I thought, well, save myself a fortune. I was always good at doing stuff like that and just being practical. You know, when you're trying to save money. And I'm glad I did. Like, I'm glad I got the offer to go, and then sold a few tickets, made a bit of money for that. Might seem like something small, and like, what's the significance in this? Like, what is he talking about? But it's huge for me. You know, when I went with one of my mates and we met a few people in there, I really had a good time because I was quite negative when I was growing up. I thought, oh, that'll be shit. You know, look at all those people. They're all obnoxiously drunk, and but you kind of go have a bit of fun. Kind of said to myself, lighten the fuck up in a way. Um, you know, I felt like I was quite miserable at times because everything was quite a challenge. But people aren't that bad. You know, if you're decent and you work on yourself and you try and be a good human being, I think that most people will be good to you back. It's just that when you get so overstimulated by everything and everything's very overwhelming, like someone's voice could really just do my head in, or lights could be way too bright, sensations of clothes could be way too much. Like, I've gotten much better with that, but it's hard. Like, that's stuff that people just go, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, like, that's just something so basic. Why are you getting so angry? You can't explain it to anyone. That's the most frustrating part of it. And I guess more recently, like, what's really pissed me off is searching for jobs and just getting thanks for your application, but we're not taking anyone on, or your application was unsuccessful, thanks for applying, see about future jobs. And like, I'll get really anxious before an interview and I'll set myself up and think, oh, I need to research this company, I need to impress. You know, I've done the hard work now, I've gotten the degree. And it's just like rejection after rejection. It's really disheartening, you know, and you feel like you have to take whatever job you're given. Like, the last big and first pharmaceutical job I got, I had to stay in Dublin for it, so I was staying with my granddad, which had its own issues. But it was an hour and a half to get to and from the job, up early in the morning, and then I ended up working the night shift, which in some ways actually suited me. Like, I got myself adapted to it, and slept like a baby during the day. You know, my granddad was kind of old school, so he didn't want to be bothered, and I kind of was like, that's fair enough, you know. Like, he'd be sleeping at night while I was off to work, and then I'd get back early in the morning, I'd go to bed, get my rest, have a meal or whatever, you know. Just, I got quite good at it, and I kind of just didn't make excuses for myself. I thought, you know, this isn't so bad, and it wasn't. But then, he's just a hard person to get along with. You know, I was there cutting him a lot of slack, and simply because I thought he is old and he's my granddad, you know, so I cut him a lot of slack. But he just started complaining about me for everything and saying I was stealing from him, and I just said I'd never do that. Like, you know, I wouldn't. It's just ridiculous. I won't go into that anyway, but that job, when that finished, kind of felt like I put everything aside, like my judgment, my better judgment. I was like, the lad is swearing in the interview when he called me, you know, like, oh, for fuck's sake, oh, Jesus. Oh. And I looked up, did research on interview skills, and it said, like, don't swear in the interview. So I thought, well, yeah, that makes sense. You can swear, obviously, in everyday life, but you should make a good account of yourself with people you don't know. And obviously, like, try not to do it all the time anyway. But it was a red flag for me. And then it was, would you be available for an immediate start? which I've done well under pressure. Like, in fairness, I've coped really well, because there's been situations that have been far from ideal, and I've been like, you know what, things aren't perfect, just get on with it. You stop thinking that you're special and just get on with it. I am bleeding special, technically, but um, yeah, I always said, this is life. Prove to yourself you can do it. My dad always used to say, prove you can do it, go on. And my mum always was more sympathetic and like, if you can't do it, just take a break. But you're always thinking to yourself, your mum wants you to be happy, and they don't want you to ever suffer. And sometimes it's a natural part of life. You kind of have to. And I get that. But I was just there thinking, it's a job. I'm being offered a job. There was a job that I wanted that was more local, where I could stay at home, and it was only like half an hour away. But this is where the issue comes up. Like, applying for jobs is just like, we'll get back to you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks pass, you hear nothing. Then 3 weeks pass, you hear nothing. So you're like, oh, sorry, I was just wondering about that job. Is it still going? And they're almost surprised to hear from you. You're like, well, you said, you'd get back to me in 2 weeks. I don't mean to be rude, but I've got another job offer here, because like, I was offered this job outright at the same time. I was obviously there thinking, like, if this job is only half an hour away from my house in Wexford, I'll stay here. I was like, that'd be much better. And I get very anxious about leaving my mum and my brother, because my mum has had chronic pain now for a while, and obviously she'll have it for the rest of her life, but thankfully we're managing it at the moment. But my brother also being depressed and sort his own shit out, I thought I'd rather be at home. They're more sympathetic to me than my dad would be. And when you're on your own a lot, it can be quite a negative place when you think a lot. Now, it had its perks that I was independent and I was getting to and from work. I was, sorting myself out. I was getting in on time. I was doing all my work assignments. I was very, had a lot of self-worth, but then my dad calling me up and me like, your granddad said, this is happening, that's happening. I won't go into the ins and outs, but just making like saying I was being a scrounger, basically. I was like, far from it. I'm offering to buy him shopping every day of the week, which I've no issue with. Don't deserve a medal for that. But I was being understanding. I washed his clothes for him, and he gave out to me for that, said I was wasting electricity. And I said, I'm washing our clothes for us, and I'm doing the dishes. That takes electricity. And he got free electricity, like, at that age, you do, and I didn't mind throwing him a couple of quid here and there, but like, to say that to me, I just thought, that's not going to work out. And then I was looking at renting rooms out where the job was, so I thought, okay, but you had to put down like, I think the minimum I had was a year's lease. So I thought to myself, I'm not really sure about this job, and I only ended up being there for 5 months, because I'm not going to mention the company, but rules weren't being adhered to all the time, let's just say, and they were going to lose the contract. So I thought, I don't want to get a bad reputation. I didn't start in the best way. They said, oh, you could be training for a minimum of 3 months before you're expected to do any sampling. And then 2 weeks in, and I'm expected to. And because of the way my mind works, I was there thinking, well, that's what you're employed to do. So, you better do it. It's what you were given the job for. So to turn around and say, I don't feel like I've been trained enough, I wouldn't think like that. I think, oh, get on with it, just do it, grow up here and get on with it. And I did, and I swam, I didn't sink, but it was in a clean room as well, so my sensory system was in overdrive, with all the chemicals and clean room gown, so your face and everything's covered in a face mask and a beard net. My goggles and all were fogging up. You have to wear 3 layers of gloves, and you have to wear the big gowns. And it's quite claustrophobic, and the smell, like the chemicals, are just so toxic. You're there thinking, should I have maybe more PPE on here? Not that I would have enjoyed that, but I thought I'd rather that than get lung cancer or something. But it just didn't suit, I made an effort. I wasn't given all the correct training, but I kept pursuing it anyway and going ahead with the job. Then my hours were switched from going in at 11:30 or midnight to 5 a.m. And one thing that affects me particularly with autism is I'm not a very comfortable driver. I don't like cars. I've never been into them. And I have a travel pass for the bus, a public services card, so I get public transport for free. Because I'm terrible at driving. And that was fine. I could get the last bus in at 11 or half 11. Suited me perfectly. But when they moved it to 5 a.m, the buses don't start running then. So I was kind of like, bollocks, what do I do here? Now that they covered taxis, but they said they weren't going to cover them forever, and that's fair enough because they were so expensive. So I just said, well, can I come in earlier? That works for me. Like, I've no issue coming in earlier. I can get my assignments done because your trainings to do. I was like, yeah, I'll do that, and they were like, yeah, whatever time you want to come in at, just be aware that you might not be able to start sampling for about 4 hours. So like, we were collecting ultra pure water. I'm not allowed to go into too much detail. I'm not going to mention the company or anything. I'm just going to say that that's what I was doing, collecting water, basically. And they use heat to sanitize it. So they heat it up to, it was like 82 degrees Celsius, and then cool it back down. The systems, that is, just to make sure that it's being sanitized properly and there's no microbes. Now, you can't guarantee it, but it gives you the best opportunity to sanitize the systems. But the thing is, it's so hot, it's scalding, so you put your hand under that and it would burn. So you have to wait till it cools down to like 25 degrees Celsius before you can go up and sample. So that was like fair enough. The engineers had to do their job, and then we go up and sample. But with my granddad basically and me not working out, I was like, look, this isn't working out. I planned on, having a go with him, and I thought, oh, he's an old man. Just say it's not working out, that he doesn't really want you there. And then he gave me this whole speech, and I said, look, let's leave on good terms, but I just don't like the way I've been treated here. I'm quite pissed off about it. In fairness to the job, they put me up in a hotel for the week. It was a nice hotel as well. But, yeah, it was only for a week. Like, they couldn't, in fairness, I don't expect people to do that for me for any longer. And then I was travelling up from Wexford with my brother. And he was good enough to bring me up. In fairness to him. Or I'd stay in my auntie's, which wasn't too far. It was kind of much of a muchness from where my granddad's was. Well, since then it's been a challenge, I don't want to ramble too much about that job, but I went on a holiday with my brother like a day after I finished and just conked out like I was exhausted. He was there saying, because we went to Mallorca, and I said to him, you go wherever you want, I don't mind, I'm happy enough. And he said, yeah, well, we're not going to Magaluf. And I said, sure, I'm fucked, I'm not going there either. And so he was expecting me to want to go out drinking every night, and we'd an all-inclusive hotel, so like I was just having a few beers and chilling with him. I said, whatever you want to do, like I have no energy to argue with you, And when I got back from that, I just remember feeling really dejected. I've been going to the gym, I've lost a good bit of weight, and I've put a bit back on since, but luckily not nearly as much as what I had on before. And I remember feeling like shit, just started drinking a little bit again, feeling so worthless. Just a terrible feeling, I feel like a scrounger now. and it's been tough ever since, like just part-time work here and there and trying to keep your head above water. Um, and then I haven't worked in like a year now. So just get a tissue. It's annoying me. But yeah, having to rely on benefits basically is makes you feel quite worthless. But it's a godsend at the same time, because I'm not being funny. Some days I haven't got the wherewithal to get out of bed. It's a real challenge. And yet I drag myself out. I try and stay positive. I'm after getting another job rejection there, and I'm like, alright, better get used to this. And you kind of think to yourself, what's the point in the degree I earned? And then, like, I also get physical symptoms, so autism can lead to gastrointestinal problems, and I've had gastroenteritis twice now. I'm not going into the gory details about that, but you can look that one up. It's not very pleasant. But I kind of thought to myself, is that what's leading to me not being able to get fitter? Because I've tried and I've been fit before, but I've like a burning sensation in my stomach and I get really bad cramps. And after a high carb meal, which people always encourage me to eat if I was exercising for energy, it is the best source. But I bloat really badly. I look pregnant, like that's how bad it gets. But if I'm like just digging in the garden, which I'll be doing, or I was digging when I worked just as a general labourer on a construction site,